Who's ready for the open bar? Open means on Sam's Club charge, right? All right, thank you guys. You guys have had a nice long day. You guys have been learning a lot. I'm going to try to help you with a little bit of information here at the end. So you guys ready to do a little bit of learning before we start drinking? Yeah. All right, that's what I like to hear. How many people in here think to themselves at times, my sales stink?
Yes.
And they don't know what to do? Well, that's what I'm going to help you with. But before we do, let's find out who I am. So, my name is Jeff Cohen. I'm part of a company called Seller Labs. I started in e-commerce probably like the mid-2000s. My first site that I started was a retail website called textbooks.com. I'm trying to get through a lot of information, so I'm going to fly through this. Don't take notes, just pay attention. You'll take a look at the slides later. Seller Labs, we are a software company, as Sam said. We came from sellers, so we have been sellers ourselves. Many of us still sell on the side, but we really focus on software. We work with 15,000 Amazon sellers. Our sellers did $7 billion on the Amazon platform last year. This gives us a lot of information, a lot of knowledge. I speak at about 15 plus conferences a year. Have an opportunity to speak in front of thousands of sellers worldwide. Get a lot of information from you guys, and it helps me put these presentations together to know what type of problems you guys have. So, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, what type of problem do I have? And the reason you have to ask that is because there's different types of problems on Amazon. You have ranking problems, you have session problems, conversion problems, and review problems. So we can take each of these and we're going to break these down real quickly. Because you've got to figure out where your problem is before you figure out what your solution is. Because Amazon, anyone in here ever heard of the Amazon flywheel? Okay, so you need to start looking up on that. We need to start with a presentation on that. But Amazon's flywheel is basically that the customer experience and the customer information is the most important part of the whole Amazon experience. And everything comes back in Amazon's world to the customer being happy. Therefore, your job as an Amazon seller is to do one thing and one thing only. What is it? Make the customer happy. Because if you make Amazon's customer happy, Amazon rewards you with more sales. This is what I call the Jeff Cohen flywheel to success on Amazon. Because all of these work within one another. If you rank well for a product, you get more sessions. If you get more sessions, you have a chance to get conversions. If you get conversions, people write you reviews. Amazon can then track the ranking all the way to the review and know that the customer was satisfied. And that's your job. So let's go through these. A ranking problem. So rankings, we really got into this earlier with Laurent, so I'm going to kind of skip through this. Rankings are poor search. Poor listings equal poor search. I like to use apple slicers to keep it really simple. Everyone in this room raise their hand. I promise to not source an apple slicer. They will hurt Jeff's sales. And it's a really just bad idea. Okay? So this is a bad listing. We talked about it earlier, right? This guy is actually telling us that a fruit corer and wedger is his product, but that's not what Amazon wants to know. Good listings get good search, and that's what we want to focus on. We want to focus on how to build good listings. We want to focus on the keywords that Laurent taught us how to find earlier. Because if you don't tell Amazon what your product does, it can't put your product into that search. That's what we were talking about earlier when it came to indexing. If you don't tell Amazon that you slice pineapples, then your product won't show up for pineapple. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you a little bit different technique. We use competitor data to determine our information. How many people in this room are doing wholesale? Meaning they're selling somebody else's product, either, and how many people are doing private label? And how many people have never put a product on Amazon before? Awesome, you guys are going to get a little lost, but this will be good information for you later in the future. File this away in your bank. So what we want to do is, we want to use our competitors' listing, because we're not ranking well. So this is our listing and it sucks, right? I'm calling it a fruit corer and wedger. And how many people looking for an apple slicer or a device to slice apples is going to say, I wonder if I can find a fruit corer and wedger. But amazingly, if I go to Amazon's listing, guess what ranks #1 for fruit corer and wedger? This product, right? Because I type it in and look, there I am. Oh my God, Great, no one's gonna buy your product because nobody searches for that. But what I can do is I can look at this, and this is the tool scope that we were talking about, and the Chrome extension within here, and I can see, based on our ranking, that Apple Slicer is the best term for this product. I can click on that and I can go and see what is ranking for the term Apple Slicer, because that's what's important to me, because Amazon is telling me that Apple Slicer is important. I now spy on my competitor, the person who has #1 ranking for this, and look at this. All of his terms are much more powerful. I can take this term information and I can download it and get a jump on all the spreadsheet type stuff that Laurent was talking about. These are all the keywords that people are actually searching for. Now, how do I know that people are actually searching for this and buying an Apple Slicer? I guess that was rhetorical.
Yes, sir.
Well, the reason why is because Amazon isn't going to rank these products if they're not selling, right? So if I'm sitting here guessing what I want to say, then I'm not really sure what I want my product to rank for. But Amazon is telling me that this is my competitor's product, and these are the keywords they're ranking for. And the reason they're ranking really well for it is because they're selling. Because we know how Amazon's system works. So we're just using that information to our advantage. Now, take all this information, update your listing. The question came up earlier, and it's very important to understand. If you sell other people's products, you still can control and update the listing. And it's a real advantage to you. If you have any type of product that you have what's called replenishment, meaning that you get that product over and over again, you want an optimized listing. Now, we heard from DJ, and DJ said that when you get to the top of the mountain, you help other people. When you optimize a wholesale listing, you are helping other people, but you're also helping yourself. So the other people are going to get a boost in sales, but so are you. And one of the things that many wholesalers and retail arbitrageurs and online arbitrageurs have totally ignored is the listing. Because they kind of have had this attitude of, we have to fight for the buy box, we have to fight for the buy box, we have to fight for the buy box. But the good ones are actually going out and they're updating the listing. And I'll give you one other tip in this piece, and that is that if you can provide this value, when you go into a wholesale account to tell them what you can do, you're going to sound different than everybody else who's selling on Amazon. Because you're actually bringing something to the wholesaler, to the brand, to make their product better. So we're going to update the product name, the bullets, the descriptions, the keywords, right? And we're ultimately optimizing for rank. Right now we're optimizing purely for rank, which means I'm trying to get as many high-value keywords into my listing. Now that I've got my product ranking well, I want to fix my sessions, because rank is going to drive more traffic to my listing. Sessions are very simply defined as a unique visitor to your page, to your product detail page, okay? And so this is how many people are actually coming to your page and looking at your product. This is about driving traffic to your listing. The only way that you can really improve sessions is to get more people to your page. Well, as you rank for more terms, as you're relevant for more terms, more people come to your page. If that's not the case, you have to start driving traffic yourself. But Amazon gives us this really nice vehicle that's totally within terms of service called sponsored product ads. How many people in the room are currently doing sponsored product ads? Okay, keep your hands up. Now, you can lower your hand if you, leave your hand up if you have no clue what you're doing with sponsored product ads, but you still do it. Yeah, sponsored product ads are not easy. They actually require work. They're one of the harder parts to actually outsource in your business because it requires you to have a little bit of education of how the system works. It's not a set it and forget it like a lot of the other pieces of Amazon are. Let me kind of walk you through. This is what I call the traditional sponsored ad model. You go into their system. Does everybody understand what sponsored product ads are? Or did I lose some people? I'm going quick, so. Raise your hand if you have no clue what I'm talking about right now. All right, cool, really quickly. On Amazon's page, the top listings, the top 3 listings, and on the right side of the page are all sponsored ads, meaning that me as a seller, I'm paying for my product to show up in that location, right? And so Amazon is now selling a lot of their real estate. We as sellers are paying what's called a pay-per-click for that space, and we're trying to optimize for keywords that somebody might be looking for the product. The traditional way that you guys that are doing this were taught is that you run what's called an auto campaign. We'll get into this in a second. You then take the top performers and move them to what's called an exact match or a broad match campaign, a manual campaign, and then you optimize and repeat. The problem is that this whole process is fraught with problems. And it's fraught with problems because it requires you to give Amazon money to figure out where they want to have you spend it. Therefore, you're putting the control in Amazon's hands, and we're going to take the control back. Sound good? All right, so people that I found this to be really helpful to share. So auto-targeting, when you put an ad in for auto-targeting, we're sticking with the apple slicer, your product is going to rank for all these different terms. So it might be a fruit cutter, it might be a pineapple slicer, it might be an apple slicer or a kitchen gadget. It can be a whole bunch of terms. Amazon is basically taking all this spaghetti and throwing it on the wall, right? Those are called impressions. It's your ad showing up. If somebody clicks on it, then they start to say, oh, look, there's relevance here. Amazon wants to put as much spaghetti on the wall as possible to see how much of your money they can spend. They then have what's called manual match types. There's three: broad, phrase, and exact. This is kind of how it breaks down. Now, Amazon has two terms. One is called a keyword, and one is called a search term. Keep it very simple. Keyword is what you call it. Search term is what the buyer is actually searching for. So we're looking at an apple slicer, and Amazon's going to show an ad for slicer for cutting apples, because Amazon people search in what's called long tail. They type a bunch of words into the search bar on Amazon. So as you go down the match types, Amazon's going to get more exact. In a phrase match, they're going to keep the word apple and slicer together, but they might put a word before it or after it. When you get into exact match, they might use a plural or the word a or a number or an and or something like that. So these are the different match types for how you can try to do that. The problem is, as I said, the auto-targeting is limited. You're advertising on competitor ASINs, you're waiting for Amazon to give you the information that works, and all you're trying to ultimately do here is drive more sessions to your listing that are going to eventually convert. So now I'm going to show you how to run campaigns that matter. And the best way to do this is very similar to what we learned during our first part. We're going to use competitor, well, you can use scope, that's fine, I'm okay with that. You're going to use competitors' data. That's what you're going to use. Because we already know, we've learned from Amazon that if a keyword is ranking high for a competitor, that means that they're actually converting sales. So we're just using the logic of Amazon here to change our position of how we do things so that we're actually working in a more logical manner. So, how it works. Select keywords that drive sales to your products, right? We know this now because we know from our competitors what's driving traffic. We're going to skip the auto-targeting because I don't need to throw this big net. I just need to go right in to the phrase match, and then I'm going to let the long tails come out from the keywords turning to search terms. So I'm going to use the same data here. I'm going to put this in and get a keyword suggest. Our system takes out keywords that don't make sense, because when you're looking at keywords on Amazon, this is one thing, you probably can't see this in the back of the room, it's one thing to keep in mind. Amazon, an apple core and an apple core peeler, right? Because what we just learned about broad match, an apple core peeler is a broad match for apple core. So if I actually put both of these in my keywords, I'm actually stealing impressions from one side to the other. So I want to actually minimize the number of keywords. We used to think, oh my God, we need a lot of these. We need more, we need more. You actually hurt yourself with the more that you put in. The more keywords that you put in, the worse, because you start spreading all of your impressions out against more and more keywords. And we want to actually limit this so that we have a small set. If you had 15 to 20 really good, solid keywords that didn't overlap, that's a great place to start on a broad match term. Sound good, everybody? Yes. Am I losing you all? I know Sam is shaking his head, but I'm wondering about you guys. So, when we put these into our system, Amazon starts to come back to us and they start to tell us what our potential bids are. When you're starting, put your bids high, right? You're trying to collect data. And I'm going to show you how this works, okay? So this is a campaign that was run. This campaign actually, we'll jump ahead here to the comparison chart. So the campaign kind of goes off the screen, I guess I got to go back. So the campaign started in November. From here to here, I'm running a basic auto-targeting campaign, right? You see that my volume isn't high, you see that my sales are not high. I changed my methodology on February 2nd, and you can see that I spiked all of my numbers. I turned my auto campaign off, I went to just a core broad campaign based on that. What I was able to do during this time period, now this isn't amazing spend, but what I was able to do was increase my conversions. Like, I was able to reduce my A cost from 34%, that's the advertising cost of sale, to 8%. I was able to increase my conversions. I was able to increase my cost, or decrease my cost per sale. And so I'm not giving as much of my money away to Amazon, and I'm actually bringing more sales per click to my product. That's a good thing, because Amazon looks at the total number of sessions versus the total number of conversions. That's what we want to do. Okay, going through this really quickly. We got ranking, we got sessions, now we need to convert. We have people on our listing. How do we do that? This is one of my favorite examples. Mr. Lawson used to sell these back in the day. This is where I would normally make my millennial jokes, but since I stole them all from John, I can't make them on stage with him here. Does everybody know what this brand Iowa is?
Oh, yeah.
All right, great. Because all of you look like you're old enough to know what CDs are. But this brand kind of was dead, right? And a company in the US bought this brand from a company in China. And they went and they rebuilt this into this beautiful Bluetooth speaker, trying to revive the brand that we kind of grew up with. And we knew Iowa because Iowa had really good sound. That was kind of what they were known for. When I first started working with this company, this is what their listing looked like. I actually didn't take a screenshot, so I had to go back and get it from the Canadian site. But this is how they describe their product. It's a power input, 220, 240 volt, 110, 120 volt, 50 to 60 HZ. Who wants it? Who wants it? Huh? 5-band adjustable graphic EQ. Who searches for, I'm looking for a 5-band adjustable graphic EQ? Right? Now these guys didn't actually have a traffic problem. These guys actually were ranked 81 for Bluetooth speakers at, it's about 299 US. Okay, 81. Who would like a product that ranks 81 for Bluetooth speakers? Right. They're crushing it. And they can't really go much higher because of their price point, because everything down is all like 25 bucks. But they had a massive conversion problem because people were coming to their site and they weren't buying. So we took the top ranking product and we started actually looking at their reviews to find the answer. So here I found out that it's got 35 hours of battery life. The speaker has great bass. If I was playing baseball in the outfield, the speaker was at home plate, you could hear it. Last 8 hours of battery, it's the king of the block. When it comes to sound quality of portable speakers, this is it. Thank you, Iowa. Wireless connected to my phone, laptop, and tablet with no problem. So their customers were telling them how their product worked, and they weren't telling their customers how their product worked. This is what they were saying. It's a 5-band adjustable graphic EQ. Right? So all of the information is right there that they needed to do to update their listing. Now let's see their beautiful new listing. That's it. This is what they're saying now about their product. Now they're actually giving details. They're actually giving keywords that people are searching for. They're actually talking in the language that their customers are using for them. And that's what we want to do. Our customers are our brand. Our customers are our voice, and we want to actually speak to them the way that they're looking to be spoken to. And that's the power of reviews, because our customers are actually asking us to talk to them about how awesome the sound is. And my favorite of all the reviews, I didn't actually highlight it in this, was somebody talked about how beautiful the knob was. And I said to him, I was like, well, is it a nice knob? Like, yeah, it's a nice knob. I was like, well, you should say it's a nice knob. Like, people like it. I mean, that is what people like. And they like the sound, they like the slickness of this, right? They made these changes. They increased their conversion on their page by 10 points. That's not 10%. That means they didn't go from a 10% conversion to an 11% conversion. That's 10%. They actually increased by 10 points. That's money that was sitting there. The traffic was already there. All they needed to do was improve their page. So when you asked that question earlier about should I work on pages that are from a wholesale account, I think you should. Is Amazon going to take it every time when you work on a wholesale account? No, because that's not the way Amazon's catalog works. But as Amazon actually starts to see that you provide authority, as they see that you're actually making good changes, guess what? They're going to actually reach out to you. They're going to come and talk to you. They're going to want to know, can you help them fix more pages? Because they want their pages looking nice. That helps them make more money. And if you can help Amazon have a more satisfied customer, you're completing their loop. All right, last problem, reviews. Now, a lot has come up about reviews over the last 6 months. I like to call it the new normal. The new normal for reviews starts every morning in my world, because things always seem to be changing when it comes to reviews. So let's just kind of review a couple of things just to make sure everybody here is on the same page. First, you can still ask for reviews. There is nothing against Amazon's terms of service that states you cannot ask for reviews. You cannot ask a buyer to only leave a positive review. Okay? So if you're saying, if this product was good, please leave a review, you're in violation of TOS. Now, this seems obvious, but we actually did a study of our database to see how many emails were being sent out with review suggestions, and it was embarrassing. How many people put suggestions of reviews in emails? Please consider writing a review for my product. Here's previous products that have been reviewed. Please consider giving us a 5-star review. That's against terms of service. Those are things that will get your account suspended. Don't spam shoppers. How many people in here think they get too many emails from Amazon? Or they all go to Unroll for you? Right? Not a lot of you raised your hand. That means you're not paying attention. Amazon is sending out a lot of emails. I get tons of them. I get 3 a day just from retargeting, but I guess I'm on Amazon probably more than the normal person. Okay? So Amazon is sending out emails. Your emails have to go out. They have to provide value. If you're just repeating what Amazon is saying, if you really don't know what emails Amazon sends, go buy a product and see what kind of emails you get from Amazon. How many people in this room have asked a friend to buy a product and write a review? Okay. That's against Amazon's terms of service. So,
nobody's done it.
Right. Yeah, nobody's really done it. That was just like a show of hands for people that think they know people that have done it. There's a new one that kind of has crept into the in what we call the if-then language. So we were guilty of this at Seller Labs. We used to make recommendation of language that said, if you are really happy with this purchase, if you have a problem, please contact our customer support. If you love the product, please write a review. We have been notified by Amazon over the last month, 2 months, that is now language that they don't want to see. And the reason they don't want to see it is very simple. They don't want what they call a biased response. And so when you say to somebody, if this, do this, you're creating what's called a biased response. And the biased response is what is pushing that and is making Amazon feel uncomfortable. So what you want to say is, we're here to provide customer service. Please contact us if you've had any problem. There's nothing wrong with that. We would love to get your honest feedback on this product. Please write a review. There's nothing wrong with that. You just can't do what they call an if-then. And you can't say, if this was a 5-star experience, please write us. You can't say that. You have to change your language. The way that I kind of wrap this up when looking at emails, because we've been doing this for a long time, is offer great customer service, work to extend the brand, and enhance the buying process. And if you do those things, you're actually doing what Amazon wants. If you don't do those things, then you're not doing what Amazon wants. And if you're a wholesaler, and you're working even in arbitrage, anytime you have a replenishable product, wholesale, retail, online arbitrage, it doesn't matter, you want to build reviews for your product as well as seller feedback. You don't want to just focus on the seller feedback, because whatever you can do to improve the product's rank on Amazon ultimately is going to drive more sales for you. Make sense? Awesome. As I said, I speak at about 15 or so conferences a year. If you have your cell phone out and you text 444999 and then you enter the word Stellar Labs, you can get on my text list. My text list does not convert you to an email, so I don't even ask you for an email. I kind of use it as an emergency broadcast system. I use it for when really hot things happen. So if you actually hear from me more than like once a month, it's only because a lot of things happen. But I get to a lot of these conferences and a lot of people talk to me and they ask me questions and they want to kind of know, when I hear about things, they want to kind of know. And it gets lost in their other messages. And so I found this as a way to kind of communicate with people. I take this list very seriously, and I don't use it for marketing at all. So you actually will get something that says like, thanks for signing up. You'll get that one. But you're not going to get spam from me on any regular basis. So you'll actually, if you do sign up, I have one scheduled to all go out once Brand Registry goes live, the new Brand Registry 2.0.
Can you tell us a little bit about what's coming?
Yeah, we can talk about what I know. And then if you want, inside your bags are the discounts for the software that I demonstrated. So there's a flyer inside your bags. I would love for you guys to try our software, and I thank you guys if you're already customers. And thanks for having me. You want me to talk about Brand Registry?
Yes.
Okay. So Brand Registry 2.0 is, raise your hand if you do not know what Brand Registry is. Okay, let's start there. Brand Registry is a system within Seller Central that it's actually exclusive to Seller Central right now, that gives sellers the ability to create a registry for their brand. So the way that it works right now is I say to Amazon, I am the seller of this product. And I can prove that I'm the seller of this product because this product has my brand on it, the package has my brand on it, this is my website, this is my contact information, and I kind of give Amazon, I think it's like 4 points of information. And Amazon says, okay, this is his brand. It doesn't really give me a lot of authority right now, but it does allow Amazon to kind of say, this is my brand and it's not somebody else's. Amazon has had a lot of issues, if you have not been following the news over the last couple of months, with counterfeits. Inauthentic products is sometimes what it's also called. To address this, Amazon has created what they call Brand Registry 2.0. It is supposed to go live Monday, but I've heard as of Friday, I was told it's put on hold. And they don't have an exact date just yet. Brand Registry 2.0 is Amazon's attempt to kind of fix this issue with trademark infringement and inauthentic products. And what it's going to do, there's kind of like in the short term what it's going to do and what it's going to do in the long term. In the short term, what it's going to do is give brands the ability to protect trademarks and patented products. And so Brand Registry 2.0 is going to basically say like, register your brand. It's going to actually be open for all sellers now, not just Seller Central sellers. Amazon has actually started off going after a lot of the big national brands and working with them to sign up. It's going to allow them to start protecting their brand on Amazon. And everything from this point forward that I'm going to say is kind of conjecture, because I just don't know. That's just kind of what I've heard. But the basis of it is that Amazon wants to give brands the ability to control their distribution channels. And if people are not authorized to be selling products on Amazon and they're in violation of the trademark, Amazon or the brand can actually kick them off. And so what does that mean? Most likely that means once it goes live, some of you are going to get letters. And you're going to do what? That's right, you're going to panic. And everybody needs to take a deep breath when that happens, because it's like everything with Amazon, there's going to be a big flood of things at the beginning and then it's going to calm itself back down. Now, if you're selling retail arbitrage or online arbitrage, am I going to stand up here and tell you the sky is falling and you're going to be out of business tomorrow? No, that's Cynthia Stein's job. And you can read that in her blog and she'll tell you all about it. Nobody tell her so she's going to be so nice.
It's online.
Yeah. So you can read, she has an opinion that's pretty strong and you can read it. And I think as a seller you should be well versed in all opinions that are out there. I don't necessarily believe that the sky is falling, but I do believe that brands are going to start taking more and more control over their brands and over their listings, which means you as a seller need to be able to authenticate in some way to Amazon that the product you purchased is what you claim it is. And so that's why a lot of retail arbitrageurs and online arbitrageurs have moved in the last year or so over to the wholesale side of the business, because a wholesale invoice is a very protected way for selling products online. So let me say this. If you are going to a store and you're buying a package, and the package has like 6 items inside of it, and you're taking all those out and you're selling them on Amazon individually as 6 different SKUs, you're probably going to be in trouble, because you can't authenticate that the products individually that you're selling are authentic. Does this mean that like if every Nike shoe is going to be impossible to sell? You know, to be honest with you, I don't know. It's going to come down to how hard the brands want to push this, because and when it really comes down to it, from what I've been told from some people that used to work at Amazon and have talked to Amazon, a lot of this is going to come down to how hard the brands want to police, because Amazon is not going to police. And if brands actually start putting, I guess we'll call them frivolous claims, without being able to back them up, then Amazon is not going to support the brands. And so the brands actually have to go through and make sure their legal contracts, you know, state that the products can't be resold online and things like that. So over time, it's going to change the world that we live in. How much of it will change on day one? I don't know. Is everyone going to freak out? Absolutely. Yeah. And so I know that we've prepared for it. We have a blog article that is written and will probably need to be rewritten before it actually gets posted. I know that we have at least 2 people who have had pretty high up conversations with people at Amazon that are going to come and do a Facebook Live right when this goes out, so we can kind of answer questions. They've seen the back-end interface. I haven't, and so most of this is just what they've shared to me. And I think most of us are just kind of waiting. Yeah, Mr. Wilson.
Just a question, I mean, you know, this is not really a new territory in third-party selling.
Right.
eBay went through this exact same thing. But it seemed like there became a cottage industry of lawyers that would chase down and do all of this for the brand.
Yeah, I think you're going to see, so what he's saying is there's a cottage industry of lawyers, I think, that are actually going out and helping brands protect themselves. I think that is one of the predictions I've made on this, is that you're going to see not just lawyers doing it, but you're going to see Amazon, people who want, imagine like you've got a relationship with a wholesaler and you can walk in the door on Monday and say, hey, Amazon's got this new system called Brand Registry 2.0. You know, all these sellers that are selling on your product, I can actually help you police them all now. Just make me your exclusive. Or let's limit it down to 5 sellers. And so those of us that are kind of ready might be able to take advantage of it. What I've recommended to sellers is make sure your paperwork's in order. So if you have relationships with wholesalers and you've been given the right to sell products online, just double check that. Make sure you've got your paperwork in order, so that if something happens, you're not kind of, you know, caught with your pants down. You have that and you can kind of step forward. But I do agree with you. I guess I have time for like maybe 2 more questions. Is that okay? Yeah.
The keywords in the back end, where you enter the keywords on the listing.
Yep.
What's the spacing that you're supposed to have between them?
So he's asking about the back-end keywords. There's 5 lines, 1,000 each. There's arguments as to whether you should have 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. There's arguments over what the spacing should be between them. Different people have tested different things. All I can tell you is what I do, which is just a standard space between each keyword. Phrases don't matter, so you don't have to repeat, right? So if I have a red and yellow wagon, I don't have to say red wagon, yellow wagon. I just say red, yellow wagon. Amazon can know that it's a red and a yellow wagon. I do know some people that have said to use semicolons. I do know some people that have said to use commas. I personally think they both take up space.
Yeah,
right?
Ron's also saying it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
they're characters, so you want to limit the character. You want to make the characters real.
So I recently heard about this team of hackers that can actually get people's back-end keywords, okay? And they went and they did a lot of research, and what they found was that it doesn't matter if it's a comma or not, or it's spacing or not.
Yeah.
It makes-
So I follow a guy named Ian Lurie. I follow a guy named Ian Lurie. He's with a company called Horton. He's probably one of the smartest SEO guys I know in the space, and he just tells me it doesn't matter, and when he tells me that, I just believe him. He's like he's an attorney, right, John? Right? If Ian talks, we listen. Yeah, he's an attorney, so he reads all the patents. So all of his knowledge is based on how the patents work. Right. So most of us are talking about what we've tried and what we've hacked and things like that, and he's like, well, yeah, but this is what the patent says that it does. So this is how the technology works. And I'm like, okay, yeah, keep telling me more. Yeah. One more question? No more. Awesome. I'll be here the rest of the night and happy to answer any more questions. Again, if you want updates, you can text that. If you don't know what that means or how to do it, then you can contact me and stop by and say hi.